My name's Olivia James. I'm a therapist and coach. I help people with anxiety, and here with my friend and colleague and Harley Street buddy and neighbor. When we are actually neighbors, but not that either of us are going into the office
when we're
right
allowed
now.
out. Yeah, when we're allowed out. Yeah.
So I thought it would be really helpful for us to have a chat about anxiety and how this COVID thing has impacted people. And we're going to give you some tips and advice as to how you can manage your anxiety, try and understand your own anxiety as well. And then I think finally it would be helpful if we could just explain. So when we do work with people online, how does it work? Because some people are a little bit concerned about booking with us. Is it going to be the same? Can we still do our thing online? Be very helpful, I think, to talk to people through that as well.
Okay, yeah, we can cover that. You didn't actually introduce me because I made a joke. So I'm Chris Jones, by the way, Christopher Jones. And yeah, as said, I'm a Harley Street therapist as well. And my specialty is fears, phobias, and anxieties. So yeah, we can talk about that, how it works online and stuff. I mean, I think the big thing for me is that I was talking about this before we started recording, and it's the fact that everyone has all these plans. Everyone goes, right, when I have more time, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And, obviously there's a load of Facebook jokes about, it turns out it's not more time I need to tidy that cupboard, because it's just actually, I don't want to tidy the cupboard. I'd rather watch Netflix. And that's fine. That's human nature. But there are some people that generally have big projects, things they want to do, and they're not doing them now, and they're beating themselves up for it.
Yes.
And I think it's worth talking about that. That's not because they're lazy necessarily. That's because they're in a stress response right now. They're in a traumatic response.
Yeah.
The world has suddenly seemed, whether rightly or wrongly, like a dangerous place. It seems like there's a threat outside your door. You go to the shops, anyone gets too close, people are a threat. Illness is a threat. Finances is a threat. So you have all these pressures. And when you do that, you're going into this survival mode. You're going in like there's a saber-toothed tiger outside. So you're going to fight, flight, or freeze, which, as you know, you get angry, you play dead, or you want to run away. And none of those emotions are particularly good space to give creative thinking, to suddenly be coming up with that novel, that great movie script, whatever it is, that a piece of artwork, the whatever it is. And that is why for a lot of people, they're not really achieving those big goals while they're trapped inside, and they're rather just sitting or feeling sorry for themselves, or oversleeping, drinking too much, or eating, which is the other issue.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the ways that I explain that to people is an analogy that most people just want to feel cozy. So what they'll do is they'll do comfort seeking, and whatever it might be. It might be like scrolling, online scrolling, endless scrolling.
Yeah.
Too many
6,000 YouTube videos. Yeah.
Too many drinkies, like whatever it is that's going to numb them, because most people are under threat, and people do want to feel cozy and they want to feel safe, and that's ultimately what people are looking for, is safety. And we were talking earlier on about people that were already suffering from anxiety. For them, this is even more. But also many people who are normally relatively well resourced and don't particularly suffer from anxiety are now suddenly completely thrown by this.
And I think, as you were saying, again, before we started, in fact, we were saying a load of stuff. We should have
it was legendary. It was brilliant. Sorry you missed it.
Yeah, you missed that bit. The idea that, that if you're agoraphobic, then suddenly you should go, wow, life's easy. And I have heard that from some people.
I don't have to go out.
Yeah, I have heard that from some people, actually, that they're suddenly, no one's going to suddenly turn up at my door, and I don't have to be on edge, and I don't know who that, so that I'd have to suddenly meet people. So there is that. But then there's other people that are more anxious, and it's because it's like having a cup of water, is the analogy I often use. So if you're you're anxious about work, you're anxious about meeting this person, and eventually this water overflows. So even if in some respects, you're getting to avoid facing your phobia, your fear. If you're in this, if you have all these other external threats or perception of these threats, you're in overwhelm. So you're anxious, and you often don't even know why. Your brain is responding to danger, and it can't even find the danger. It's like, well, am I anxious about the money, or the fact I can't go out, or the fact I have to stay in, or what it means for the future? And that's the other thing. It causes when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what causes depression. You kind of think,
yeah, absolutely,
where you are is where you'll always be.
yeah.
And this has kind of been forced on a lot of people. So yeah, anyone who has, mild anxiety, stress at the moment, it's going to be turned up. Or anyone who tends to get depressed and down is going to be more depressed and down, generally speaking. Now, that's not to say you can't work on that, but there are genuine reasons why people are feeling that way. And again, coming back, it's not about shaming or that you're lazy or irresponsible necessarily.
Exactly. People do enough of that themselves, right? Most people beat themselves up hideously.
Oh, yes. That voice in your head. Well, why?
Exactly.
What's wrong with you?
And then, so I had a conversation. I do quite a lot of work with entrepreneurs, and I was talking to an entrepreneur the other day who has a business, and he has like 8 different branches of his business, and all of it, and he's got like about 75 people working for him. And he was opening new premises and everything, 2 new premises, and he said, this thing, his words were like, this thing has come out of left field, and it's like completely derailed my business, and I don't know where the tracks start again.
Yes.
And for him, that responsibility as well, it isn't just his own survival, but it's all these other people that he's sort of roped into the, you know what I mean, that he's like, he feels responsible for all his staff.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
And many employers that I talk to and entrepreneurs are in that, where they have got that enormous psychological pressure of not only themselves and their families and their own survival and mental well-being, but all these other people in a situation where there are many, many unknowns. We have no idea how long this is going to last. Yes. We have no idea how badly this is going to completely wreck the economy or not.
Yes, yeah. And when we're out of it, what it means. What does it mean for clubs and events and, your football and
public speaking? Like, a lot of my colleagues are public speakers, and they're like, one of my colleagues lost about £45,000 in 3 hours of bookings. Yeah. Like, incredible. So my question to you,
go on.
What can people do? Like in this massive, dare I say it, shitstorm, what can people do to like manage their own anxiety? Because this time there are actual things to be worried about. It isn't just an imaginary thing that might come and get you. These are actual real things that are dangerous.
Yeah, well, I like to quote from the movie. That's a terrible movie, but it's a great quote. After Earth, and he says, I'm gonna say that. I like to quote. I'm gonna mess up the quote now.
What's the movie, Chris? I missed it.
After Earth.
After Earth. Okay.
Yeah, and he says, fear isn't real. That doesn't mean danger isn't real. And so how you respond to danger or the perception of danger is down to you, basically. And the analogy I often use with that, there's a couple of analogies. I mean, the first one would be if you looked at the movie Apollo 13, or actually the real event, Apollo 13, where they go, so we're stuck in a spaceship, we're out of oxygen, and we're going to blow up or die or whatever. And they go, Houston, we have a problem. So the fact that they were able to stay calm under pressure is rumored to be what kept them alive. I mean, there was a few other good circumstances that helped them, but one of the things is they just went, okay, we have a problem, what do we do? They didn't go, oh my God, run. Because that very rarely will solve something like this. So the first thing is really to get, and I always say that, get key on what it is you're scared of. Because, and then it becomes easy to work on. Is it the fear of the future? Which actually is pretty much describing anxiety. It tends to be what it is, which is you're making a picture of something that hasn't even happened yet, running it like it's a horror movie. So are you worried about all the what ifs? What does this mean for my job? What does it mean for my finances, my family, my future life? What does it mean for seeing friends in future? Are we all no longer going to touch hands, you know? So that's the first thing. And so yeah, remind yourself that just because there may be real danger doesn't mean that anxiety is going to stop that danger. I think that's the thing. And, you know, another analogy would be the martial artist who's getting attacked by a gun or a knife, and they stay completely calm even when they're under threat. So find out what it is you're scared of. Find out what exactly am I worrying about and break that down. That's the first thing. And then ask yourself if this pattern is the best way to solve that problem. And when it comes to worry or anxiety or stress, it tends not to be.
Okay.
Now, yeah, go on.
No. Do you want to finish your bit, and then I'll ask you my searching question. Go on.
Go on. And then once you've isolated the causes, it then becomes easier to change it. Now, there's lots of techniques that both you and I teach for relaxing that amygdala response, relaxing that beating heart, relaxing that tension in the gut. So that's the second step, is practicing, you know, probably a lot of what you know, which would be anything between, you know, these kind of EMDR techniques for mindfulness processes, yoga, anything that puts you in that mindset. But even just doing exercise, and obviously some people can't leave the house, but just moving your body can often change your mental state.
Yeah.
But again, when you feel like doing it, when you need to do it the most is when you feel like doing it the least. Because if you're down and depressed and feeling sorry for yourself, it's very hard to go, oh, I'm going to get up and run, get up and do some press-ups. But that's the time when it's good to try and break that habit. So what would you recommend then? What are your...
no, my question is, so now, so I don't know if you heard that the coronavirus has been personified. It's actually a thing. She's called Miss Rona. So Miss Rona is out there and she's coming to get you. She might be coming in on your shopping. She might literally be coming in on the cardboard on your Amazon delivery.
Yeah.
But only can stay on cardboard for 5 days, right? So how do you manage that? How does somebody who's anxious manage that?
They wash all their food in bleach, I guess was the joke. No, that is a joke. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it comes back to the old 12 steps analogy, isn't it? You control the things you can, and you accept the things you can't, and you have the wisdom to know the difference. So obviously the various precautions, staying 2 feet away, doing all that stuff, wiping things down. But it's asking yourself, what am I really anxious of? You know, what is it I'm actually scared of? Am I scared of being sick? Am I scared of dying? Am I scared of giving it to somebody else? Am I scared of, you know, what's so common, like when it goes to things like flying or fear of crashing and things like that, it's so often, or I'm scared how it will affect my family if I'm not here. That's a really common
exactly.
belief. Yeah.
So people on the whole don't tend to even go there. But when they work with a therapist like you or I, we will actually ask them, so tell me the worst thing about that. And they will, because most of the time people are spinning out so much they don't actually want to think about all that stuff. So
one of the questions,
the what ifs.
Yeah, the variation on that I often like to ask is, what do you need to believe to feel that way? So I feel anxious. What do I need to believe to feel anxious? I need to believe X, Y, Z.
All right.
This might hurt me. This might happen. This, blah, blah. And
that
gets to the beliefs.
With Miss Rona is out there. And earlier on, we had a personal conversation, and you know, some people might say, well, if Miss Rona's got my number, and it might be my, you know,
when it's your time, it's your time. Yeah.
When it's your time, if she really wants to come and get me, she'll come and get me.
Yeah.
So
well, then it's I mean, and even for anyone who is sick, and I've had 2 friends who 2 colleagues as well who have had it according to the doctors, and they're both okay, you know. So it is keeping into perspective that while it's, you know, can be passed on quite easily, the odds of actually dying from it are quite remote. That's not to say, and I'd be very careful with saying that because I want to manage people's anxiety. But there's some people who, oh, okay, well, I'll go outside then. No, you do everything you can, but that's all. But that's all you can do. But it's knowing that if you are sick, obviously, it's like if people have trouble breathing, anxiety becomes self-fulfilling. So you're like, I can't breathe. Oh, and then you start to panic and you can't breathe less. So one of the things is just the calmer you can be, the better it is for healing. And there's lots of studies on that, on how your stress levels will affect your immune system.
Exactly. So the more stressed you get, the more likely you are actually to be susceptible to Miss Rona and all sorts of other things.
Yes, and people are on higher, what you call hypervigilance at the moment.
Yes.
So if you go to the supermarket and somebody coughs, everyone takes 100 feet back, and then they glare at them till the person shrivels up, and the person might have just been like clearing their throat, but everyone's so there is still an overreaction to things that people wouldn't, and understandably so. But
exactly.
It is getting that. Just because you woke up with a bit of a sore throat. I mean, in fairness, I did this the other day. I woke up with a bit of dry throat, and I was like, "Oh, is that the first sign? What was? Oh no, I just slept with my mouth open. And it's so common. Yeah.
Exactly. Final. Final. We're about getting to the end of our time, so I just want to ask you about. So we're having a lovely conversation one-to-one now. So if I was having a therapy session with you, or you were having one with me, what would it look like in a therapeutic session doing it via Zoom? Would Zoom be your preference, or video call?
No, well, it doesn't make that. I mean, there is some advantages between being face-to-face, though obviously not at the moment. And, I was doing virtual stuff for a long time anyway, because one of my big niches was flying, and I'd get calls from this is just me bragging now. I'd get calls from America and Australia and all over the world, and obviously they didn't want to fly to see me, so I was already doing a lot of it. But in terms of a lot of the techniques, the only real difference between me doing something to someone and them doing it themselves is that I have to teach them the process.
Yeah.
So while that sometimes takes a little longer in a session, the advantage is they then have that tool to take away with them, and they can use that to manage their stress levels. What would you add to that? What would yours be?
So with me, I can do pretty much all my techniques. The only one that I haven't been able to work out how to do it online, although some people do, is the eye movement stuff. I do have colleagues who use the IMT online, but I've never been able to actually.
I use a version of. I use a version of the Havening, which is not follow the finger, just do it yourself and flick your eyes left and right. In fact, actually, I created this is a plug, but it's a free kit. I created the Corona Care Kit, which is available for free. I can put a link on this video.
I had no idea. Okay. I had no idea you'd done that.
And that's kind of using that bilateral stimulation and some sort of hypnotic relaxation guided stuff. Just to work on anxiety levels and stress. And again, I've got lots of videos out there, but the biggest tip people can do on themselves is just remember to breathe. And there's a stomach breathing or gut breathing. And then there's another one, which is, you obviously know, it's heart breathing, which is even more powerful for just kind of, it's like a form of meditation and centering, which is also a good one to do. So
nice one. That sounds very cool. Thank you. So if people want to get hold of you, where can they get hold of you?
If they go to ChristopherPaulJones.com, I have various, there's links to videos and articles and blog posts and stuff like that, as well as booking a free consultation.
Excellent.
So people can book a clarity call with me there.
Great.
And yourself, where do people go?
They go to www.harleystreetcoach.com.
Okay, fantastic.
Great, thank you.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
You too. All right, speak soon.